There was an ancient civilization ran by tyrannic giants? Oh, the famed city of Iram with lofty palaces built with pavilions of gold and silver, inlaid with colored jewels with jacinths, chrysolites, and pearls. Sounds also magical and so mythical.
Da 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 da.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. For many years, I've been reciting verse 52 from Surah Hud to increase my self-confidence. Yes, I have low self-confidence, which is improving now, alhamdulillah. And it also serves as an anti-aging solution. Anywho, I didn't know the meaning behind that verse up about until now, until I researched about the people of Ad and Prophet Hud a.s. Right, so Prophet Hud a.s. lived for about 130 years, around 2500 BCE, preaching the worship of Allah to his fellow tribesmen, the people of Ad, an ancient Arabic tribe who were the fourth descendants of Sam, one of the three believing sons of Prophet Nuh a.s. They migrated from Mesopotamia, settled down in the Ahqaf, as per Surah Al-Ahqaf in the Quran, meaning sandy hills of Rubul Khali, or known as the empty quarter in the southern Arabian Peninsula. Rubul Khali is the biggest sand desert in the world, spanning over 250,000 kilometer squares. That is almost as big as the United Kingdoms, with sand dunes as high as 250 meters. Although today it is almost inhabitable, the climate was much different then. The people of Ad were blessed with extraordinary strength and stature. It is said that they were tyrannic giants as tall as palm trees, and they can uproot the palm trees with their bare hands. Now, did giants really exist? I might do another episode on just to answer that question, inshallah. People of Ad were skillful craftsmen. They built irrigation systems and the unparalleled city of Iram with lofty palaces. They loved building palaces in the mountains. Not quite to live in them, but just for the fun of it. They can, so why not? And they were believed to be involved in the ancient incense trading, perhaps even as far as dominating the whole trade in the Near East. The most valuable aromatics that made up the incense trade were frankincense and myrrh. The application was expansive then, that these commodities were more precious than gold, that it was the luxuries of the wealthy. The earliest civilizations were known to have used incense across many of their religious and ritualistic purposes. The Sumerians burned incense to appease their gods. The Harappan used in mother goddess cult during the 3rd millennium BCE. The Minoans included ritual incense burners to bury along grave goods. The Egyptians burned incense as offering to their gods. And the Assyrians burned incense while worshipping their sun god. They also used these aromatics burnt with oil as body perfume, scenting clothes and fabrics, fumigants, breath fresheners, insect repellents, air fresheners, and were vital ingredients in pharmaceutical products of the time. Strabo, the Greek historian, noted that the South Arabians were enormously wealthy, benefiting from the incense trade during the peak of the industry in 1st millennium BCE, and that the golds, silvers acquired was never expended. However, little study or excavation is done to specifically study the early developments and growth of incense trade. According to Karl Raffgen, a German geographer, the incense trade route might have already been established since the 3rd millennium BCE. With all this wealth and power, it's no surprise that the people of Ad were arrogant. They worship idols, Samud, Sama, and Hara, and they thought that these idols were the ones that brought them all this power and wealth. And they would challenge Prophet Hud a.s. saying like, you're threatening us with all these punishments from Allah. Like, show us what you got, man. Bring it on. Allah's punishment first came with a drought, then he brought upon the torment of fierce cold wind. lasting 8 days and 7 nights, annihilating each and every disbelieving Ad. That scene is more gory than any Final Destination movies you might have caught. While Allah is the most merciful, it's a stark reminder of just how scary Allah's wrath can be when we challenge Him. And it's ironic how they laid dead, like uprooted trees, when they once upon a time uprooted trees with their bare hands, right? The story of Prophet Hud a.s. and Ad was not told in any of the holy scriptures. It was revealed only in the Quran. For many centuries, experts dismissed it as a pure folklore. But there was another place that this story was told. Alfu Laylatu wa Layla, or the Arabian Nights. It's a collection of Middle Eastern folklore dating back to the 8th century. It is believed that the tales originated from India and Persia, and many more tales were added along the way throughout the centuries. The story goes that the Persian king of the Sassanid Empire, Shahryar, takes vengeance on women as a result of his unfaithful wife marrying a string of virgins every day and have them executed the next day, until he weds Scheherazade, now who is a smart cookie. On their wedding night, she starts the story but doesn't finish it. King is forced to postpone her execution the next day, as he is eager to hear the ending of the story. Come night, she finishes the story but starts another one. Cheeky, huh? This went on for 1001 nights, earning the title. The book found its way to Europe when in 1704, Antoine Galland translated the book into French. Subsequently, the book was translated to many other languages to become one of the most famous books in the world today. Antoine added some of the familiar tales like Aladdin and the Magic Lamp, Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, the 7 Voyages of Sinbad the Sailor, into the collection. You guys can guess where I'm going with this. One notable story is of the city of many columned Iram and Abdullah, son of Abi Kilabah. In short, Abdullah goes out in search of his lost camel in the empty quarter, stumbling upon marvels of architecture like never seen before. The description is eerily similar with the description of Allah's Jannah, and I thought to myself, in the middle of the desert, dehydrated, mirage, hallucinations perhaps. Read it for yourself, guys. Short one. You'll understand why the similarity. Link in the comment section below. It was not until the 20th century that things started to take an interesting turn. In 1930, a British explorer, Bertram Thomas, went on a 2-month expedition with 25 Bedouin guides to be the first European to cross the empty quarter. He didn't find any ruins, but he came back with a lot of specimens and a fascinating story to tell, which he documented in his book, Arabia Felix. The book caused a stir among Europeans and caught the attention of one T.E. Lawrence, or famously known as Lawrence of the Arabia. Unfortunately, he died tragically in a bike accident before he could embark on an expedition of his own. But him calling the city of Iram as Atlantis of the sand stuck to this day. In 1948, Petroleum Development Limited of Oman's geological party stumbled upon the ruins of fort while examining the old oasis Shizr. Took note but didn't think much of it. Bertram too came across the fallen fort during his expedition but didn't pay much attention to it either. As his guide said, it was built only a few hundred years ago by a sheikh. Following the discovery of ancient city Ebla's ruins in the region of Mardih in northern Syria in 1972, led by archaeologist Paolo Mattiei from University of Rome, the excavation team found about 17,000 tablets of palace archives. The tablet contained details of Ebla and its surrounding region, trading partners, Damascus, Gaza, Byblos, Lebanon, Canaanites, and you've guessed it, City of Iram. Finally, a tangible proof. In the early 1980s, Nicholas Clapp, a writer, filmmaker, amateur archaeologist, managed to convince NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory to use their satellite radar imagery and to scan through the empty quarter. To their pleasant surprise, they found ancient caravan trading routes Underneath all that sand, which all converged to that ruins of fort near the oasis of Shizr, Nicholas teamed up with American archaeologist Juris Zarins and British explorer Ranulph Fiennes to pick up where Bertram has left off. Together, they discovered that the ruins of Fort was really only centuries old. But however, it was built on another ancient rubbles of Ubar, aka City of Iram, dating back to 5,000 years old. Upon further excavation, they found storage keeping facility of sort, consisting of 8 walls, each 18 meters long and 3 meters high. Each corner was fortified with a column of 9 meters high and 3 meters diameter. However, that's all they managed to discover, as rest of the city apparently has collapsed deep into a sinkhole. Did they, alas, found the Atlantis in the sands? There's divided opinions on this. Although Nicholas seems to think that they have achieved what they set out to do, Juris doesn't agree that what they found was City of Ubar or City of Iram. He argues that according to classical historical sources, Ubar refers to a region and a group of people, not a city. The settlement of Shizr couldn't have been more than a trading post, a processing or shipping center perhaps, with a population of no more than 200. This is far from the famed lofty palaces and pavilions of City of Iram. Maybe Allah didn't want to leave any trace of the people of Ad, so they won't even be remembered as once upon a time ancient mighty legacy. Like, you guys were so arrogant. Who remembers you now? Not only they weren't even remembered, they are being denied of being ever existed. Not even worthy of mention in the history. Or maybe one day we might just unravel the mystery of the City of Iram. Wallahu alam. The extraordinary strength and state